Alright, now let us get into the prerequisites of this course, which is installing the tools. Alright, so what are the tools that are required? In this video, I'll be guiding you towards installing the compilers and debuggers, because we'll be using the C programming language and we'll need a compiler, and to debug our code, we'll need a debugger. And I'll also show you how to do that in Windows and on Linux, but on Mac, I think you guys can figure it out because I have the README file and everything. But even Linux, I don't have Linux installed anywhere on as of now, so I'll be showing it on WSL, which is quite similar to the Linux platform and all. Now, for code editor, we'll be using Visual Studio Code, which is it's a go for whatever development you are into. Alright, so in Visual Studio Code, I'll also show you what are the extensions that are required for C and C++ programming in general, not only just data structures. And I'll also show you the most important CCPP properties.json file, which is a very important file when it comes to C and C++ programming. Alright, so let's dive in. Okay, so I'll be coming back to this README file a lot because this is where all the things will be there. And you can go over here and you have the direct link to download. I think it goes to sourceforge.net and it downloads the MingGW version 64 for Windows, and the download should be starting now. I don't think I'll download it because I already do have a download thing for me. Alright, but if you're on Linux, you can copy that and open your terminal. And since I told you I'll be dealing with subsystem, I came over here and you can just put that in over here. Yes, oops, wait. We copy that. Okay, so build essential will have all our compilers and formatters and everything, and GDB is the GNU debugger. Okay, so you can press enter and it just installs. Alright, now that is how you install on WSL, and this is we can just go through the installation in the GUI and we'll have the compiler downloaded. Now I want to show you how to add the GCC and G++ and GDB to the path. Alright, because if we don't have the Donwload path, it will be a big problem for us. We'll have to go to program files and we'll have to go through that MingGW64, and I think you'll have the similar structure, and you should search for the folder called bin. Okay, here is where if you press G, you see that G++, this is the C++ compiler, and this is GCC, this is the C programming compiler. Alright, now we don't have access to these executables directly in our terminal. Alright, and to have access to those executables in the terminal, we should add this directly to the path, so that whenever we are typing GCC, since this is already in the path, all these commands will be accessible through the terminal without actually entering this whole path and everything. And to do that, we'll have to go to edit your variables for your account. System variables. You'll have to go to system variables and edit environment variables, and you can change it in user variables or in the system variables too. I generally do it in both of them because I'm a little confused and all. Yeah, you can see over here I already set it up, C program files MingGW4, and it will be till that bin directory. Alright, and you can press OK, or you can add this like this. Okay, you can copy then paste that thing. Oops, and you can copy and paste that thing like that. Okay, I advise you to do it over here too, like because I do that, but yeah, you can just avoid that. Alright, now that is how you add to path, and if you're on Linux or Mac, it by default installs to the path itself. Alright, if you're on Mac, you'll have to use this Xcode select install, and it installs both the compiler and the debugger for you. And the compiler that it will be installing over here is known as clang. It's not GCC, it's not the GNU compiler, it's the clang compiler, and the debugger will be LLDB. Alright, now let's come to the most important part, which is the code editor. Alright, you can just come here and open it in the new tab or whatever, and you'll have this, and you can select whatever you want to. And I think since I already have this normal VS Code on mine, I'll go and install the Insiders version because they don't conflict between the installations. But I advise you to use a stable version because Insiders will be having some bugs and everything. Alright, because it's a preview release kind of thing. And you choose your operating system. I don't advise you to install VS Code on Linux from here. There is a special package manager which I'll be discussing, but from Mac or Windows, I advise you to do that from here. Okay, and that will just get downloaded. You can press on keep, come here. Meanwhile, I'll show you how to do that on Linux. So we'll be using this special package manager called Snap. Okay, so what is Snap? Snapcraft is a cloud package manager kind of thing, where we'll be having different softwares which we mostly use made into packages which are known as snaps, and we'll be storing that in the snap store over there. And we can just install that in the as a command line tool, and we can use that snap and install the code, which is Visual Studio Code. And I don't know why we put that classic thing over here, but yeah, you can do that, and you can go to your terminal and you can paste that, and VSCode by default installs on your system. Alright, if you don't have snap, you'll have to do this too, because to install snap. And apt is the Debian based package manager, but if you're on Manjaro or Arch or anything, you'll have to use your package manager for that. And for Mac and Windows, this is a similar process. You go to the website, you download it, and you follow the steps, and you make sure that add VS Code to path option is clicked. Now when I click on this, you'll see the installer GUI will be open. Yes, I accept the license agreement, and you see the add to path. It needs to be checked in. If you don't have that checked in, I advise you to do that. And yeah, I'll just install. Alright, now let us create a directory over here. I can just come to new folder. Let me name is DS. Alright, now I can come here and open it with Visual Studio Code, or I can be more fancy and I can come to my desktop in my terminal, and I can just do code and the name of the folder. Since I added it to path, I'll have this code command available in my terminal, whatever it is. It can be PowerShell or Git Bash or whatever. And if you pass in the folder name over here, it opens that folder in Visual Studio Code for you. Alright, and it did open Visual Studio Code for me in that folder. Now, the first thing that I advise you to do when you come to C++ development is to install the C++ extension, which is officially taken from Microsoft. And I think I have that over here. Yeah, if you press over here, you'll just go to the extension, and if you press install, it just opens VS Code for you. I think this works only on Windows and Mac, but yeah, it does. And I also advise you to install the C++ IntelliSense extension, which is not from Microsoft, but yeah, it's a very good extension. And this is a must, but this is optional. Alright, now you get language support and autocomplete features and IntelliSense from that, and we'll have to create a .VSCode folder in the directory, in the root directory. Alright, so let me create .VSCode over here, and instead of doing it the file way, I'll just show you how to do it using this. You can go to C++ and check for UI, which is edit configurations from UI, or you also have the JSON thing, which will just create a file for you. Okay, but I advise you to, if you're a beginner, I advise you to do it in the UI, because it opens this C++ configurations UI, and you can choose your platform, you can name it whatever you want, and yeah, Linux, Mac or Win32, and you can have the compiler path. If you already have compiler default installed on your system, it just identifies by itself. And yeah, compiler arguments, you can add your arguments, one argument from line, like -G for debugging and -O for output files and everything. And IntelliSense, I advise you to leave it for the default thing, include path and defines. And yeah, C standard, I think I'm following C17 over here, and C++ we are not messing around with that. Alright, now if you just close this, and if you see over here, you'll see this ccpp properties.json file, and you'll be having some, I advise you not to follow that, and just copy this cpp properties.json file in my GitHub repo and replace it everywhere, because I have it configured for all the platforms, for Windows, for Linux, and for Mac. If you're on Windows, this path, I think it depends on whatever where you install your compiler, but I think this is the default for me. And C standard and IntelliSense mode, it keeps changing for operating system to system. For Mac, we have GCC x64, and for IntelliSense, for Mac we have clang, and we have user bin clang as a compiler path, because that is where it will be installed. Even for Linux, we have user bin GCC, that is where it will be installed. This is cross-platform, and I advise you to follow this ccpp properties.json file. Alright, now yeah, that's it. In the next video, we'll be going through writing a simple hello world program and how to compile it and using the terminal and everything.